We are here for the opening ceremony of the Orange Hill Village Road today, Monday 19th October 2020. Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Ralphie Gonzalez, who is on his way here. The Minister of Housing and member of, well, there isn't Parliament, but the Honorable Montgomery Daniel. The Minister of Agriculture, Industry, here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Honorable Sabuto Caesar, Pastor Walters, Mr. Johan Stewart, Mr. Adam Belingi, members of the media, those viewing at home and listening via various medium, and members of the audience, good afternoon. I really wanted a nice Orange Hill good afternoon, so can I try it again? Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This sounds like Orange Hill. We are here this afternoon for the opening of this community road, the Orange Hill Village Road. And one of the things that people take for granted is that of access. What this road does and would do is improve access for, as Pastor Walters said, pedestrians as well as vehicles through the village. And that is not something you can take for granted. You know, we can broaden the idea of access to almost every facet of our lives and talk about how this government has improved access for Vincentians. The government has improved access to education opportunities for Vincentians, for preschoolers, for primary schoolers, for secondary schoolers, for those in post-secondary institutions, as well as those at universities all across the world. Access to lands and home ownership through land reform and through the construction of hundreds of low, middle, and no-income homes, as well as the provision of 100% mortgages for teachers, for public servants, for police officers, for nurses. Where would we be without access? It's something that we should never take for granted. To speak more on this project, I would invite the Minister responsible for the Basic Needs Trust Fund. He is the Minister of Agriculture here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and I may venture out to say possibly the longest serving Minister of Agriculture. Would I be correct, Minister Caesar? Close. The longest serving Minister of Agriculture here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the Honorable Sabuto Caesar.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Area Representative, the Honorable Montgomery Daniel, and I wanted to give him a special round of applause this evening. Pastor Walters, Adam Belingi, Johan Stewart of Stewart Engineering, members of staff here from the Basic Needs Trust Fund, and by extension, the Ministry of Agriculture, Forestry, Fisheries, Rural Transformation, Industry, and Labor. I also want to recognize other technicians who are here, community activists, recognize Tadro, and the great people of Orange Hill. A blessed afternoon all. As I sat there, I was placing in context this evening's activity. We are here to open what has been considered by the technicians in the BNTF as one of the best built roads that we have embarked upon during this year 2020. And I want to thank the engineers and the contractors for doing an excellent work. But I want us to, first of all, reflect on the distance we are coming from as a people. Because in 1833, when a bill was taken to the British Parliament for emancipation, it was passed in 1834, it started a great movement. And it is that movement of emancipation and freedom and respect for people that started in 1834 through the Emancipation Act that we are seeing a continuance of, where we are lifting St. Vincent and the Grenadines higher. A project like this was a wish, was a dream when we had the start of the peasantry. Because after emancipation, you had villagers, Samson in different areas, starting little communities like Diamond Village, like South Rivers, like Connery, like Orange Hill. Some places remained estates, and some communities were started on the fringes of estates. And I am happy to report to you that in the person of Montgomery Daniel, you have a man who works day in, day out to lift the people of North Windward higher. As minister with responsibility for the Basic Needs Trust Fund, I have to interact with all other cabinet colleagues when it comes to projects. And I remember when we were preparing for the budget, and Minister Daniel brought his list. I asked Minister Daniel, did you bring a list for somebody else? Because the list that he brought from North Windward, I said, Minister Daniel, like you want all the projects. But this is a man who you have voted for to do a job. And I must tell you, he has done an excellent job and will continue to do great works. Not only for the people of Orange Hill, but for the people of North Windward. You see, when you give somebody a work to do, and you give somebody the work to do who has experience, you could put your pot on the fire, knowing that you're going to get great things done. This is not somebody who just come, you know. This is not somebody who going to ask around as to who contractor could do this, you know. If you know Montgomery Daniel well, you know two things about him. He's a serious man, and when he tell you something, he's going to work towards it until it is achieved. Give him a special round of applause for his hard work. We are here to talk about roads. But he who only knows about roads knows nothing about roads. If it wasn't for Montgomery Daniel, there would not have been a single R-Root factory in this country. And I want the R-Root farmers to hear that. We have to remember that when we speak at these meetings and when we come to open projects, the projects are opened in villages, and the villages have a history. You can recall once in the development of this country where there were R-Root factories throughout this country. And today, we have not only received technical advice, community spirited support from Minister Daniel as it relates to matters touching and concerning our route, But when you look in the cabinet of this country, and when you look at across the board, anybody who will be contesting the next general elections in November or November the 5th, there is November the 5th. You say in December? November the 5th. That's when we vote in. There is a joke up here. There isn't a single individual who will be contesting general elections on November the 5th who know more about arrowroot than Montgomery Daniel. That they me making that up, that is a fact. And that is coming from the Minister of Agriculture himself. We are going to continue to do works in this constituency through the Basic Needs Trust Fund. We have done great work in education, in healthcare, in sanitation, and road access. And I am happy that we have good technicians in the BNTF, and I want them to have a special round of applause for their hard work and dedication. And they have complemented and worked alongside and achieved several landmarks and goals, objectives regarding access, as we have seen with the PAVE project, where many of our villagers have benefited and will continue to benefit. I have had a short journey when it comes to issues of real estate. And something I want to emphasize this evening, because sometimes we don't mention it. This piece of road, which was built by the Basic Needs Trust Fund, has lifted the value of all these houses along this road by over 20%. It means that someone with a house, that same house there, the one with the lime tree, if that person went to the bank last year and they took their deed to get some money from the bank to borrow, if they take that same deed, Samson, to the bank today, because of this road, they could get more money on that deed. And that is part and parcel of lifting villages higher and lifting St. Vincent and the Grenadines higher. In North Windward, we are seeing many revolutions. I can recall growing up as a youngster in San Souci, walking to go to half the school in Diamonds. And half the school used to start 8 o'clock in the morning. So by 7 o'clock, you had to be on your way. And seeing bus loads of children coming from Sandy Bay and Orange Hill and Oya and Fancy to go to the North Union Secondary School. Remember those days? Had a man named Indian. Used to drive the school bus. He's still alive? Yes. Indian is still alive. Can't tell us to see him. And you had to leave home early and go down to North Union. I am happy today that in the person of Montgomery Daniel, in his quest to lift this constituency higher, you have your own secondary school. And not just your own secondary school, but a secondary school that is doing well. I could remember when I was on evening shift, coming from same half the primary school, because remember it was 2 weeks morning shift, 2 weeks evening shift. When you're coming home all 5 o'clock. When you're going for my sheep, because you have to come home from school first because you don't go for sheep in school clothes. You come home, you change, and then you go for your sheep. Sometimes when I go in for my sheep, by a place called Joe Brown, well, all 5:30 you're coming back, you're still seeing students from Oya and Orange Hill waiting for a van. You know why? Some of them had lessons and they missed the bus. Those days are done under the Unity Labour Party government and under the leadership of Montgomery Daniel. Remember that when the history books of this country, when they are written, the Rabaka Bridge will go down in the history, the modern history of this country, as one of the best projects ever done. And who was the area representative at the time? Montgomery Daniel. And that is why I am so happy to be here with him this evening to celebrate with him. Because as a cabinet member, you have your dreams and your aspirations to help your people. The resources have to be allocated. And when the resources are allocated, you have to have good engineers like Johan Stewart. And somebody saying yes, so that means they'll be watching the work good. And you have to have good contractors, like the contractor who did this particular job, Cigars and Toby. And I can't go further without saying this. Both Cigars and Toby and Johan were classmates of mine, and we are the same age. And I want to welcome the Honorable Prime Minister who has just arrived. Let us give him an Orange Hill and North Windward welcome. It is in that context of one, lifting St. Vincent and the Grenadines higher. It is in the context of lifting North Windward higher. It is in the context of lifting our own humanization higher and the Caribbean civilization higher that the Basic Needs Trust Fund is going to continue to do great work throughout this country. I want to encourage all of us to continue to support the hard work of Montgomery Daniel, support the hard work of the man with the experience, the man who you have faith in, the man who has delivered, the man who you trust, and the man who confidently is going to take Orange Hill and the constituency of North Windward forward. Thank you very much, and may God bless you.
Thank you very much, Minister Caesar. And you know, it's always something to listen to the story of the educational pursuit of Minister Caesar as he speaks to half the school, something that today's student would be totally unaware of. Having come and met 100% access to secondary school, having come and met fantastic structures. You know, it's just last evening I was traveling up to Chateaubalais, and as I drove past the Westwood Government School, I remember my days teaching there, and the structural situation of that school, well, crack up. Today, when this government constructs a school, it's a well-designed, well-constructed facility. So, Minister, I really don't grudge you for you half the school, but I like to hear these stories. To speak to the specifics, the technical specifics of the project, and I heard somebody in the neighborhood endorse the fact that Johan is good. And Johan is my friend, by the way. We grew up in church together. He's a good fella. Let me welcome to address this gathering Mr. Johan Stewart, the project consultant from Stewart's Engineering.
Dr. the Honorable Ralph E. Gonsalves, the Honorable Montgomery Daniel, the Honorable Saboto Caesar, Pastor Arnold Walters, Master of Ceremonies, Mr. Sion Marshall, Manager of the Basic Needs Trust Fund, Mr. Johnson, and other members of his staff, residents of Orange Hill, other distinguished guests, and persons watching and listening via the media. Pleasant good afternoon to you. The Orange Hill Village Road is a special project. This is a project funded by the Caribbean Development Bank through the Basic Needs Trust Fund and the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Its objective is to improve access to the community and the drainage works of the community. The residents of Orange Hill, you now have paved roads. Also issues you had before, issues with drainage, runoff, you no longer have that problem anymore. Persons who had issues with access to their homes, you now have access driveways, access staircases to your homes. The length of this road is approximately 1,950 feet, 14 feet wide. Right now you're on what we call the top road. There was construction that took place on the middle road, and there was the bottom road at Orange Hill. The construction of this road took into consideration roadside drains and curbs, outfall drainage, driveway connections to as many homes as possible. Submissions of bids for this project were submitted on the 18th of October 2019. There were up to about 11 bids received to the Central Supplies and Tenders Board. The contract was then submitted to the lowest evaluated bidder, and the contractor for this project is Minute Maid Heavy Equipment Blocks, Trucking and Construction Limited. I wanted to just give a round of applause for Minute Maid, the contractor, who did a wonderful job on this project. The cost of this project was $775,597. The project works began on the 3rd of February of this year, and practical completion was on the 18th of September, 2020. I must say that we had no issues working along with this contractor. We had no issues with the residents of Orange Hill. They're wonderful people. Give yourself a round of applause for that. We took into consideration the environmental and social factors while doing this project, and everything went smoothly from beginning to end of the project. And before I leave, I would just like to give a special thanks to the members and staff of the BNTF office, Mr. Johnson, Mr. Sampson, Engineer Jarrell Paris, and all the other members. Please give the members of BNTF a round of applause. Contractor, Mr. Sigerson Toby, and his crew, his staff, for doing such a wonderful job. The Caribbean Development Bank, the government of St. Vincent and the Grenadines for funding this project, and finally to the members and staff of Stewart Engineering Limited, Principal Structural Engineer, Mr. Glenford Stewart, Quantity Surveyor, Mr. Roald Caesar, and all the other members and staff that made this project possible. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Johan, for that comprehensive report on what was built. Now, let me say this. This project, 3 pieces of road, and Minister Daniel and the Prime Minister would speak more to this, but this project that consists of 3 pieces of road, as outlined by Johan, 1,950 feet of road, started sometime in February, the 3rd of February, and was completed in September. If you do your calculation, I'm also told that on an average there are about 20 employees, mainly from within this community. If you do your calculation, you would recognize that this road, or these 3 pieces of roads, were constructed during the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. So when you hear people say, comrade, if you ask me, you handled the pandemic well. Had we shut down the country, had we locked down the country, had we imposed a curfew, on average 20 people wouldn't have had a walk, and Orange Hill wouldn't have these roads. We deserve a round of applause for that. I hope I ain't stealing no thunder from the Minister Montgomery, because that's what I'm bringing on now. And you know, he always puts me in my place whenever I refer to North Windward, because I'm from North Leeward. And I believe that there are ties that binds us in the North. Like Fancy, for example. Right, Minister? Yes. So let me welcome your guy as you give a rousing round of applause to the Minister Montgomery Daniel.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Ralph Gonsalves, my colleague Minister of Agriculture, Honorable Suboto Caesar, representative of Stewart Consultant Engineering, and I see the name here, John Stewart, members and staff of the BNTF who are present, other distinguished guests, members of the community of Orangeville. Orangeville and Overland, of course, have been combined over the years. But I tell you, this evening we are here to officially open this road that was built by BNTF. I want to give you a little background history of where we are, where we have come from. Orangeville really would have been one of the largest estates here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Over 3,000 acres of land. And of course, Orangeville would have been the largest coconut estate in the Caribbean. Because it would have been an estate, the people who lived and worked here, they lived in what we call chattel houses. And they were concentrated just around where the essential activities took place for the operations of the estate. The Bernard sold this estate in 1985, and the Danes took it over. In 1989, we had a terrible hurricane, and a lot of damage was done to the chattel houses. The people who were living there at the time thought that they need something better. And they came to this very spot. And they demanded of the management of the Orangeville estate at the time, known as Rabaka Farms. They demanded of that management better living conditions. They came right here, in this very area. And they stuck up their own bong remarks to demonstrate to the management then that they were serious for better conditions. Of course, what they were doing was illegal and had to meet with the force of the law. But as time went by 1993, it saw some of the first houses began to be constructed here. So by 1993, this part of Orangeville came into being. And I can say to you that by 2001, when we came to government, you had 100 foot of road that was constructed in the village. And that is from off the main road to a single shop here in Orangeville. That was done for that individual. But today, After 19 and a half years in government, you have 1,950 foot of road being done, as against the previous administration that would have done 100 foot of road for this part of the constituency. We have been doing well, not only for this constituency and not only for Orangeville. Even within my own ministry, you have no-income houses being built right here in Orangeville. I don't want to call names. I don't want to call names. There are also individuals who would have benefited from the low-income houses. We have built 2 low-income houses here in this community of Overland, of Orangeville. And I can tell you, there are 1 or 2 professionals who have come to me, having had their building lot. They have come to me and asked, how can I get a 100% mortgage so that I can build my own home? This community of Orangeville has benefited in many, many ways. For under the policies of this government, in education, in housing, in services, this area of Orangeville has benefited tremendously. I want to say to you that the work done overall is a blessing to this constituency. The rain is drizzling now. The rain is drizzling now. It's a blessing to all of us. But I can say to you that over the years, the living conditions, they were not easy. And we had to work very hard to bring a better standard of living to our people. You know, it is said, and I do not think I would have enough time to lay on the table the many good things that would have been done for this constituency. But I can say to you, I want you, when you leave here this evening, I would mention a couple of things. But I want you to remember that here in Orangeville, some of the things that were done overall. When we came to government in 2001, the arrowroot industry did not have a place to lay its head. The elections in 2001 was on the 28th of March, 2001. The administration then, on the 27th of March, sold all of the assets of the arrowroot industry. So that if that administration at that time had won the elections, one wonders what would have become of the arrowroot industry in this country. Comrades, we had to revive the arrowroot industry. And we built the office and pulverizing plant right here in Orange Hill for the benefit of the arrowroot farmers in this country. That's one. I want you to also remember, not only the lives to live and the houses that we would have built here, we speak of the arrowroot industry, the tissueculture lab that is right here. We would have rebuilt and further given expansion to the tissueculture lab that is right here, producing plants, flowers, and all that is required to help to drive the agricultural sector. We have done a lot of improvement here where over 120 people are now working. That's three. That's three. I want to also say to you, that, and you know, it is an insulting thing. I heard on the radio while I was coming up today that this administration killed the banana industry. And the comment came from someone who I know knows better. He knows better. The former Prime Minister of this country, I heard it on the radio a while ago, says it is this government that killed the banana industry. But I want to say to you, when we came to government, understanding where the agriculture sector was, and understanding the difficulty of the marketing of bananas then, we knew we had to diversify and diversify very fast within the agricultural sector. And so, we built a farmers training institute to ensure that our farmers become competitive to the agricultural sector as we saw it. That is 4 things we would have done right here. Right here in Orange Hill. And I also want to say to you, as the chairman mentioned a while ago of access, one of the tremendous benefits to you and the rest of the constituency is the Rabaka Bridge. The Rabaka Bridge. So that when we talk about 5 in a row, right here in Orange Hill, there are 5 things you can look at to tell anyone that this government, right here in Orange Hill, gave you 5 in a row. Comrades, these are projects right before your very eyes, and for the benefit not only for Orange Hill, but for the benefit of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. I have produced this document. And all of what I'm saying is in this document. So you can look at it and see what we would have done for this part of the constituency, Orange Hill. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to say to you that Under one of our policies to ensure better standard of living, the Lives to Live program throughout this country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, up until the end of last year, we would have done 236 projects throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And this year, we have already embarked on another 34 projects. That is taking our total, under the Lives to Live project in this country, it is taking us up to approximately 270 units that we would have built in this country under the Lives to Live project. So when you hear they say that, you have not done anything, there are 270 homes where the old people would have benefited from. And in this constituency, 46 homes, Lives to Live projects, would have come to this constituency from Dixon Langley Park to Fancy for the north. I want to say to you that outside of the Rabaca Bridge, we have also bridge in this constituency. Caratal, Basin Hole, the Orange Hill Bridge right across here. We have Bridge 2 in Sandy Bay as well, as together with London. We have done 7 bridges out of 9 for the past 19 and a half years we have been in government. 7 out of 9. And we should have started at least 1 more. But presently, the Ministry of Transport and Works, they are doing assessments on the Northeast Road, which comes from Bible to as far as Fancy. And so, the assessments are being done. And as soon as the assessments are done, I am saying to you, the 2 other bridges at Noel and Overland will be done. This government continues to work on your behalf. This government continues to provide jobs for the people in this country. Let me say, in 1984, when the NDP government took office, the Orange Hill Estate that was operating at the time, the Orange Hill Estate was operating with a labor force of 450 persons. All right. 450 persons were working on the Orange Hill Estate at that time. And the then government sent home every single one of those workers without even their severance pay. We had to go and pay them their severance pay. As a matter of fact, we got into government from April. And by August of that year, when the Prime Minister called me and said, "Comrade, I find the money, I find the money that we can pay severance to the people in Orange Hill." And we paid severance to the people there. So that, having sent home 450 people working, there was nothing put to assist the people with jobs. for the people in this constituency. I am shocked when I hear that the opposition is saying that they will provide jobs. But they closed down the estate with 450 persons working. They closed down the sugar industry with 2,000 persons working. They have not provided a single industry. The coconut industry. The coconut industry again. It went a begging under them. But tell me, you're coming now to tell me you'll provide jobs, but you're not telling me how we're going to provide the jobs. Right now, this government has 4 hotels being built in this country. The largest one would take approximately 800 persons. The smallest one, I understand, would take approximately 500 persons. So it means on average, you would have at least 650 persons per hotel. Which means you would have about 2,500 persons working. We are telling you how the jobs are coming. So that we have continued to meet the needs of the people here in Orange Hill, within the constituency, and within the wider country, St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Our policy is to lift SVG higher. And in doing so, we want to make sure that you have a better standard of living. We want to make sure that your children are better educated. We want to make sure that your living conditions are improved so that at the end of the day, you really would be lifted higher and higher and higher. Come on, as we go into the elections, I want to urge you to be calm as usual. I know what it is during election time. And I know we are on a path for another victory big time. But I want to ask of you to continue to understand the circumstances and to try and be as quiet and as comfortable as possible, not creating any problems for you going into the elections. I know what is already transpiring at this time. But I want to make sure that I outline all of what I have in store for you. But I know that will be done on Friday when we also officially do groundbreaking ceremony at Langley Park. I will deal much more in terms of sports and education when we get to that other activity. So, once again, thank you very much. And I'm looking forward to your further support. Thank you, and may God bless you.
Thank you very much, Minister Daniel. The very appreciative audience here, as Minister Daniel addressed you specifically to what this government has done, first of all here and in the country. You see, that is the difference. That is the difference between our platform and their platform. When the government speaks, you can be informed. You listen and you will hear what's going on. You get specifics. No pie in the sky. So the minister has told you about jobs and he has told you where they're coming from. And that's how we move. You see, the difficulty with anybody else's plan is that this government has brought the country to the cusp of a takeoff, having laid the foundation. The only how anybody else could build is to first of all embrace the foundation. And they have been criticizing the foundation from day one. They've criticized the airport, they've criticized agriculture, they've criticized education. How then can you speak to going forward without embracing the present? You know, I'm going to introduce the next speaker. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we have a number of terms of endearment. No, I don't know if you know the phrase there. But if somebody call you Dudu darling, is that a good thing, not true? Yeah. If somebody call you hon, baby, good thing, not true? Well, you know, one songwriter penned a song, and he said, they want to know why people love comrade so. And we have terms of endearment. We call him comrade. Some people call him Ralph. Others call him wall boss. And I think that one is the one that creating some problems. Well, here we're going on. I have heard the term wall boss referring to two individuals. One is a leader in the dancehall industry. Now, that has nothing to do with his criminal record. The point is, all of them who talk and love music and just play music because he's a leader in the dancehall music. The other one is a leader in the sport of cricket. And we love he. This one is a leader in politics. He's a leader in governance. And he has brought that experience to this country, taking us out of the pit that was left in 2001, lifting us higher, and will continue to lift us higher. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Comrade Dr. the Honorable Ralph E. Gonzalez.
Comrades and friends, people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, I'm very happy to be here in Orange Hill. And I'm very pleased with the work that the BNTF has been doing. And I want to thank the Caribbean Development Bank for contributing in excess of $750,000 for this particular village project, which would bring great comfort to the people in the community. This is what life and living are about. Now, I came here in this shirt because this is a governmental function. But government is about governance and politics. And I have a mouth which talk to them. From my young days, I was told by those who schooled me in the Bible, by those who taught us elementary science, and later on in life, when I read more and studied more, an important conclusion is simply this: science begins and ends with observation. A world-class mathematician and philosopher, Bertrand Russell, he, early 20th century, lived long into the 1960s. He coined that formulation. Science begins and ends with observation. You do many things along the way with science. In your observing, you utilize concepts at different levels of abstraction to analyze your observations. A particular language is required to match the thinking. And then you subject what you are observing and the facts which you gather to further scientific analysis. You use various methodologies to acquire the information, to dig deep, to get to the bottom of things and see what that bottom reveals at the top. And along the way, you establish something called hypotheses, which is a tentative relationship between two sets of circumstances. Scientists would say phenomena. Tentative means you ain't quite finalize it. You're kind of working with it. It's a working proposition, this hypothesis. And then you do further testing, further analysis, further inquiry upon your observations as you go along. And a theory emerges as to the cause and effect. What is the relationship between all the facts and circumstances? Science begins and ends with observation. I begin with the observation that the NDP had a rally in Oya yesterday. I begin with that observation. I was coming along, I saw them going there, and I was reliably informed. There are places all over the country you could go and have a rally to launch your candidates. You chose Oya. And they chose Oya. Just bear with me, please. Please, please, please. You know, we have plenty time, you know. We got plenty time. And I intend to use it properly. I am not one of those who kill time, you know, because man can't kill time. Woman can't kill time. It's time does kill you. Time is eternal. You know, I'm a teacher, you know, among other things. No. When the item came on the agenda in the NDP councils, where should we hold this rally? There would have been several different alternatives. Patel would have said you want it down North Leeward. Other people would have said they want it wrong town, Caliqua. You know, you want it up in Mespo, anywhere at all. But they decided on Oya. Hold on. Oh God, how you hurry so? How you hurry so, girl? You're a top class scientist, you're reaching to the conclusion before the teacher reached there. But how you doing this thing so? Well, hold on. Hold on. Oya would never have been considered if, first of all, something called the Rabuka Bridge was not built because you couldn't cross it. The government, which they say has done nothing, they would not have decided on Oya because If anybody had said so before the bridge was built in 2007, they would have said, well, boy, the car them going across, many of them funded it low. Wait, no. Are you really scientific up here? I know once I open science. You in it? Why you think I start so today? Hey, I hearing a lot of science here. Y'all getting ahead of the teacher. But I tell you, that mean we're doing well. Hey, Joseph? No. You would not. No. What would have been said before the Rabuka River, before the Rabuka Bridge was built, was that the place so low. You have a lot of Noah. Just take 9 people. You got the car them. The muffler go drag. They go say, no, we can't go over here. Then if somebody insisting, say, well, you don't have to drive a Noah. We could say in the advertisement, don't drive a Noah. Or don't drive the car. We will provide big buses off of the ground. And we can go to over here. And somebody will then say, well, rain come in. And you don't know when it looking dry down here, what happened in a mountain. And before you know what happened, river meet you in the middle of crossing and wash you away. No, we can't go. So the first thing, why they were able to consider and in fact go, is because we built a bridge over the Rabuka Dry River. So what they have done has validated our accomplishment. So that the truth, what you see, tells you something. Not what you hear, the lies. That is why you think that when I told you that for the date of the election I got the inspiration from the book of Deuteronomy. Chapter 11, verse 5. I see a fella decide to quote every chapter 11 and verse 5 in every book in the Bible. But that's not where I get the inspiration. I got it from Deuteronomy, chapter 11, verse 5. Deuteronomy is the 5th book of the Bible. Is 5 in a row? Why are you quoting me Philippians and Ephesians and Hebrews? Those are not the 5th book. I talk. Now, if God wanted to talk to them in that way, he talked to them. I'm telling you where I got the inspiration from. Not where anybody else. And my relationship with my God is a personal relationship. So, the point, everything I see, they try to twist it. But chapter 11 verse 5 of the book of Deuteronomy says, you must see with your eyes. And it continued in verse 7. Moses was talking to his people. He said, I brought you out of Sorry. He said, God brought you out of captivity in Egypt. And he assigned me the role, and everybody knew Moses was the leader. He said, I want you to tell your children what it was that you saw. What it was like in a desert before you came to this place. This particular condition. He said, what you see. He didn't tell you what you hear, you know. What you see. When we were building the Rabaka Bridge, oh, Heavenly Father, they used to go there. Edward Lynch of blessed memory. I say blessed because everybody who goes, we can't judge anybody blessed. At that time, Dinky Balcom was hot in politics. They would come up here when it was being built. And any time the river come down when it was being built, they come watch to see if it wash away. And they wish this bridge all the worse. And it's still standing. It's standing firm for a 5th term. You hear me? Standing firm. Mitchell, the great philosopher of the NDP, said what they are doing there is foolishness. He said, you can't build a bridge over the Rabaka Dry River. He said, it's an impossibility. That's the point. That's the point. If you don't got the vision, you can't see it, comrade. Or you go see it. He say, build a tunnel. Oh, Heavenly Father. Eh? Imagine that. Imagine that. But the bridge came. And because of it, one of the reasons why the NDP was able to present candidates for the 2020 election in Oya. And you hear they complain about this. You ain't taking me on any subject I want to go yet. Comrade, I'm the 5-star general, you know. I'm the world boss. You hear me? And I go take me time. And metaphorically, I go kill ants. And anything that I have to kill, which is legal. You hear me? So, they say how it is so terrible going from Rabaka, after Rabaka, to reach up to Oya. And they say that this particular area need a bridge. And that you can't pass it. You see this glass? In North Windward? And in St. Vincent, I met the glass empty. I want the camera them take the glass. Has some pretty red thing on it. If it was a plain glass, you'd have seen it even better. I gone more than 3/4. Where the NDP saying? They say, you did it for 19 and a half years. Look, you ain't do no hell. River, you don't do this one. You don't do that, you don't do the other. But they ain't talking about the more than 3/4 that I full the glass. Wait, no. And I am saying, give the comrade, give the 5-star general, give the world boss the opportunity to finish full the glass, so I will not leave behind any unfinished task. You hear me? A pastor, they tell me, good comrade, and if a pastor tell me so. You know, they want to ignore everything that we do. No. What happened between Raboka and Fancy is that we restructured the road. We put drains where the drains are supposed to go. And the money which we have, places we don't slip a drains. Some parts of it, you angle the road so the water will flow off. Because you got the money to do it that way. What should I say? Well, you ain't going to do that part perfect. So keep your money. I dotish. I build it in a way where we are passing. Occasionally, we have to go and clear it. But Gomery tells you about the additional building of the bridges. You know, it's the same thing with education. The candidate who is running against Gomery, she is a product of the education revolution. If the NDP was in power, it is highly unlikely that she would get a university education. But when you don't drink your portion of the milk, what you want to do is kick over the bucket. There are some things said about such persons in philosophy and in the Bible, you know. I ain't saying what that word or words are. All I'm saying, they kick it over. No. She teaches at a secondary school. Isn't it so, Gomery? In that area. Before this government, there was no secondary school north of the Dry River. And I want to tell you this. And if you think Ralph is not speaking the truth on this, 'cause I don't come and lie to the public on any issue concerning public policy. I don't do that. I don't mislead. Look, you have a man from the Ministry of Education here, Joseph Green. He's a Christian. He's a good Seventh-day Adventist man. Sabbath keeper. Ask him. There are $40-something million we have on hand from the Caribbean Development Bank, a soft loan. Joseph was inside of the room when I dealt with the Caribbean Development Bank about that. Initiated the discussion for the money. He's a witness to it, and I wouldn't call his name in vain. And a modern secondary school at Sandy Bay is one of 9 schools to be addressed. What are you talking about? A modern one? Bigger and better, with science lab and all kind of things. You hear me? There are 9 of them. The biggest portion of the money is going to the modern Sandy Bay Secondary School. Because the matter has not been addressed for tendering by the contractors. The number is going to be somewhere between $9 and $12 million. You know what I'm telling you? This is not going to be a PRPR school. Fit in for the children of Chateauya and to the current Carib chief. The Iron Man. My brethren Gomri. No. We were hoping to be able to go and talk the story today, later, about this school. Because what we are going to do, we are going to move the children out from the current school. Because that is where we are going to build this modern school. And if we move them out, we have to put them somewhere else. The old Sandy Bay Primary School, that property belongs to the Anglican Church. We are going to take the same buildings and we will build other buildings where necessary. The designs for those are already done. Fenced good and everything. Not put a temporary school, temporary because we have to move back at the site where we're going to build the modern secondary school. But we are going to build upon the wall which is there and build it properly. We will spend somewhere between $1 million and $1.5 million. So that when we are finished with that, the Anglican Church can get it to use for what they want to use it. There was a meeting on the 7th of August. And the representatives from the church were there and said they agree in principle. Unfortunately, the public servants who were responsible, and when they reported, they didn't report accurately that they hadn't finalized everything with the church. And I like to make sure things are done properly. So I called the bishop this morning and said to him, I understand the situation. This is what had happened. And he said, yes, he understands. He said, well, what we have to do is to inform on the use of the land Father Ballantyne Jr. I called Gomri, he was on the way to a meeting to me. I said, call your partner, Junior. Gomri called him, and Junior, of course, told him he ain't got no problem. The bishop said he would call Junior too. There's no problem there, but I want it to be done in good order. But that is the story, and I want it to be done not because of election, but I wanted everything to begin to start to do those repairs, to do the temporary facility for the school very well. You know what I spending on it for the Anglicans? Up to $1.5 million, between $1 million and $1.5 million. And I tell them, I give them the undertaking, and I told the Attorney General Chambers to put it in writing for them, that when we use it for 2.5, 3 years, by the time the new school, the modern school is built, I'm going to give them in a very good condition, which means that whatever wear and tear in 2 years, 2.5, 3 years, I will put it right, which will cost more money. That is in additional to the price which we have to pay for building the modern school. I can tell you things like that specifically. But if you ask Friday, sell passport. And if you're asking him questions, he said so religiously. If you say to him, if you take a mistake in the middle, and you say the Our Father prayer, he says, sell passport. His mind is so attuned. You know why? The foreign mind benders, they're the ones. In Switzerland, there's a company. In Hong Kong, there's one. They can't dispute me, you know. I got the evidence. I know the persons who are involved want to buy your passport, our passport, and our citizenship. The people who make money out of that are the politicians who are involved in the selling of passports, and some lawyers and accountants attached to the party which is selling passports and citizenship. So they just picture a trough. You know when you got pig in your yard and you have a trough? And you boil a half boil the green banana and breadfruit and some tanya skin and dasheen skin. You see how they just fight one another to get to the trough? That is what's happening in all those places where they're selling citizenship and selling the passport. The people who make the money, real money, are the foreigners. How can we sit by and hear a government a political party, sorry, coming along and telling you the path to development is selling passport and selling citizenship. The book of Proverbs teaches all of us whoever increases wealth by vanity, because this is pure vanity, you know. Whoever increases wealth by vanity, the wealth diminishes. And he who gets wealth, who gathers wealth by labor, by hard and smart work, it increaseth. Not only that it increaseth sustainably. Am I not correct, Pastor? Eh? You hear what you added? And you keep it as long as you live. That is a pastor using the word there. I say sustainably. But it means the same thing. We are opposed to that sort of a thing, selling passport and citizenship, in principle and in practice. And I am telling you this with all the solemnity that I can gather. And what I'm telling you, it is a noise in my blood and is an echo in my bone. I tell everybody, including prospective purchasers of passport and prospective passport sellers in Switzerland and from China, I'm telling them, it will never happen in St. Vincent and the Grenadines because of the Unity Labour Party. Never. You know, between 1764 and 1795, a year after the British came, to 1795 when the British ambushed Chateauguay and killed him at Dorsetshire Hill. You know what the Kalinago and the Garifuna struggled for under Chateauguay's leadership? We know in grew up saying Carib. You know what they fought about? Something sacred. What is sacred? Their land. The land belonged to the people. And the British came and passed a law. 1 year after they came here, said that all the land belonged to the British Crown. And from that point onwards, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we were taken out of a trajectory of our own independent development. And the oppression in this country began in earnest. Chateauguay and the Kalinago and the Garifuna were defeated by force of arms, the power of arms. Today, we are fighting for also that which is sacred. The sacraments of nationhood are our passport and our citizenship. That is not for sale. You can't sell it. Because what they are seeking to do, and already the way the NDP is operating, they have given themselves hook, line, and sinker to these foreign Europeans and Chinese. Because the money they have running their campaign come from the people who want to sell your passports. Want to sell and buy your passports. And what they do, they hire a company which is spawned, that is to say broke away, from Strategic Communications Laboratories, SCL, and Cambridge Analytica, which helped Donald Trump against Hillary Clinton in the last election. The mind benders, they call themselves. What they do, what the passport entrepreneurs, sellers, buyers do, they hire these people. Say, listen, there's a party in St. Vincent named the NDP. They actually wrote it, you know. I have a book on it. They wrote it. They say a relatively small sum of money to contribute. 3-4 million US dollars is enough, more than enough, to rake in hundreds of millions. They ain't trusting these people here with all of the money, you know. They pay the money to the spawn of SCL and Cambridge Analytica to put up all the ads about Ralph, about the ULP, their own ads, all these billboards, all of these things, paid for by people overseas. They even write the speech that Friday delivered on Friday the 9th. Yes. A speech which would have been suitable if a man was running for the position of dog catcher in Dade County somewhere in Miami. Shameful thing that an intelligent man, well, a book learning man, really. A book learning. I meet a lot of scientists here today. I start to analyze and they don't reach the conclusion before me. I had to take them through the process. And they are controlling the New Democratic Party. And one of the reasons that Son Mitchell has come back for, Son Mitchell interested in two things. His vanity and money. You know, he's telling people, he said, I don't want Ralph to break my record. He said he was a 4-term prime minister. He don't want the B to be 5. I don't compare myself to Son Mitchell. I don't have that ego problem. But since he raised it, I am completing my 4th term and I stop him from completing his 4th term. You hear me? And my 4th term, I got a majority of seats and a majority of votes. He got his 4th term with a majority of seats, but with a minority of the votes. So you're comparing, I don't beat you. So where you kicking up so far? Yeah? And the second thing, he owned an island named Isle de Cat. And they want at least 50 million US dollars for that island. And they see an opportunity with the passport selling. You know what they will do? They will cut up the island. And they will get somebody to do a plan. So you buying a passport, you pay the government $50,000 because they're going down further and further. But to buy a piece of Isle de Cat, you will have to spend $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 for this little piece to say you're going to build something. They're going to start to build, just like in St. Kitts, and won't finish. But at the end of the day, and when I talk about $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, I'm talking about the US dollars, So by the time he sell out little piece by little piece, it's 400 and something acres of land there, That's what I've been advised. You see how more than the $50 million going to come? So all the way here, he talking about how he love this new young lady. Happily married. Bright. All the various things. When I hear Son Mitchell talk, I see vanity and I hear coins jingling. The only thing leave for Son Mitchell to do is to send a name to the Pope to say, make us saint now. That is the kind of absurdity you get. I said something at the gathering which we had in Georgetown, which you attended. I said, if those foreign mind-benders were to come here, they wouldn't leave. I see Kenton Chance in his thing say that was meant as a threat. I'm making the point in relation to the activities. They are, on the face of it, committing criminal libel against several persons. And they are involving themselves in conspiracies which are illegal. And if you are involved in criminal libel and criminal conspiracies, you expect you can just come in, do that and leave? You don't think the police will take you up and investigate and the matter will go to the Director of Public Prosecution to determine what is happening? On the other hand, is the NDP who threatening the comrade with violence. Leacock say, I can't go in shops. He say he control shops. He say, I will see. Let him come up there. Let Ralph name man. Let him come up there. He say, I ain't joking on this. I'm serious. I see afterwards he say, it's a joke he was making. He say that I'm an ancient warrior. I say so. And like I get on like though I am a crybaby or something like that. I just told the Christian Council. I make it as a complaint. I say, Father Mike, he's a Catholic. Talk to him, give me now. Talk to him, give me now. Lika could go with me. He couldn't go with you, so he couldn't go with Friday. Is Ralphie go with? What to him at all? Yeah? He's not leader of the NDP because he ain't got no guts. And it's because I'm in polite company that I don't use a word which would be properly used. South of guts. Below the guts. No, that's why I say. Of course I ain't going there. Look. And then he said that They chased me out of shops. Well, thank God they had independent journalists. As all life Compton was up there taking picture. The people in shops along the way, I joined the caravan from down in front of Giddy Brown shop, just at the junction, where at Bronx Hardware when you come down from Green Hill, I take the other road going up shops. People waving me all about and waving me with red flag. The older folks calling me the 5-star general. The young brethren on the block say, hey, wall boss! You hear what I mean? I stop in shops, I get up, I come out of the wall boss chariot. I come out of the chariot. Yeah, I come out of the chariot. And I go on the mic and I talk. And I told them, I'm talking, and we were making just a stop. And I said, well, you're going to see me back. We are going down to Paul's lot, Paul's Avenue. I came out at Paul's Avenue on the road going down from Vinlek to come out on the main road. We stopped. In fact, the caravan was going to tell them stop. I went inside of the avenue. You know they have a bench with 2 levels. And about 3 or 4 brethren were sitting down on the top of the bench. And I just jump up there and say, move down. And sit with them and we talking and I explain many things to the gathering there. And they make space for the world boss. They make space for the 5-star general. They make space for the comrade. So Leacock, man, listen, start to behave like a big man and stop this foolishness you're getting on with. Stop this empty chest thumping. Dominic have you under manners, putting pressure on you. And the wave that I see for the ULP from North Windward to North Leeward, where it was last night in Chateaubriand, the Unity Labour Party is going to win this election bigger than in 2001. And in every seat, including the Grenadines, in every seat, every NDP candidate is going to get less votes than the last time. And I tell you, we ain't cranked up fully yet. You hear me? Tomorrow night, after nomination day, we are going to launch the candidates. We're doing a virtual launch. On Wednesday, we're doing a virtual launch of the manifesto. Packed with plans. Packed with achievements. 100 pages. It's heavy. It's heavy. Be careful, it ain't injure your hand when you hold it, you know. This is a weighty document, both in content and in ounces. Wait, is Ferdinand there? Good to see you, Ferdy. Good to see you. And this should be launched. Inside of this, note it is 100 pages. 100 pages. I will tell you all what it covers. And it's chocker full. I'm telling you where you're getting all the jobs. Because we lay the foundation. You know, we created over 12,000 jobs between 2001 and now, you know. We still have an unemployment problem. But in building the Argyle International Airport, we opened the gateway to jobs. It's because of that why we are having so many hotels coming to be built here And let me tell you, on the major hotels alone which are being built is 1 billion EC dollars, you know. They're going to require about 3,000 persons working. Some of them don't start up. From Diamond right down to Black Sand in Peters Hope. And others in between. And down in Canawan. And that is only the big investors. And by the way, take it from me, one of the first things that big investors ask you is if you're having citizenship by investment. I say, no, I'm not having that. They say, thank you. Because we don't want to be blacklisted. We don't want to be associated with money laundering. We want to have clean investment in partnership with the people in the country to develop the country and for us to make a sustainable profit. That's what the businessman them interested in. Bring my cell phone, get me out of the back of the chariot. I want to read something from it, Gio, which the representative of the United States government sent to me today. I have been with you. I have been with you for 52 years as an activist. And I have been with you 41 years taking part in politics actively as a candidate. I am the only person the only Vincentian who has participated in every single election since independence. The experience gained in those 41 years and my studies, my work experience, my political experience, these are not things you can't go down by Graves and buy that on a supermarket shelf as though you're looking for Alpen. You can't go and buy that when you go by 4D and get cornflakes. You hear me? I have committed myself to the people of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And we have a communion of mutual love and caring. And you know me. And you know me well. You think that foreign mind benders could define me? No. You think Kent and Chance could define me? You think Leacock could define me? You think Cummins and Quebecers could define me? You think a man from Beckwith could define me? I am defined by my life work. My life work of service to the people of this country. That is why everywhere I go now, I tell you this, everywhere I go, I've never seen it before. Young and old, man and woman, hug me up and whispering in my ears. Sometimes they tell me about their personal problem. But on every occasion, thank you, comrade. I want you to know that I love you. We love you. I don't know if it is because they recognize that is the last time they seen me on the campaign trail as leader of this great party. And there may be a sense of nostalgia that they're witnessing a historical moment passing. And it may tug their heartstrings. Whatever it is, I want to tell you I appreciate it. There are two photographs in this manifesto which are emblematic. There's one with me and a little child. And there are thousands of photographs with me and little children. Because they say the babes shall lead them. And then this one. There's an elderly working class woman telling me something. You see how she holds my side of my ear adoringly. I put my hand around her back. She's telling me something which is paining me. And you can see her face. You can see my face with the pain. These things, I don't know a photograph was being taken. You can't fake these things. It's either you're the genuine article or you're fake, you're a counterfeit. They don't even do anything original. Even, I see Friday trying to do the Comrades Gang. But he looks so cold. Because when he go right, he don't got the shuffle to go left. So he back like Soldier Crab. Now, you're going to see a headline in Kenton newspaper. Ralph calls Friday a crab. But Soldier Crab is one which comes out of his shell. But when it is unable to go forward or get startled in any way, it crawls back in the shell. I'm just telling you what a soldier crab is, just in case you don't. And not, you know what soldier crab is. I talk about the man them who don't know what soldier crab is. Yeah? And mind you, that headline would attract many commentaries, you know. Out of place Ralph to call Friday a crab. That is what passes for commentary these days in newspapers. Like the news and eyewitness news. I just want to make you aware of all these things. No. In North Windward, we did something in fancy. I am so proud of Montgomery Daniel with it. You see the Cottage Road? Go and look in the manifesto of 2015. And we listed a whole set of roads and bridges which we are going to do. And the first one we listed was Cottage. You come from Cottage, but you know it. You know Cottage Road? Eh? You're a cottage man. That road has transformed the lives of the people in Fancy. Montgomery Daniel spoke about how we paid severance payment for the Orange Hill workers. Not only here, but all the way down to Leeward. Over 3,000. 3,000 workers. Over $3 million. When I start, the NDP say, what are you talking about? I say, me, what are you talking about? The people walk. No severance pay. I say, no, it can't happen like that. And then they change their tack. They say, you see, I leave any money for you. How is it that you got money to pay severance pay? I told Eustace on Friday in the house. I said, I ain't telling you where I get the money from. I said, the money is in my head. You know how I talk? Sometimes I talk in parables. What do you hear? I hear fellas by the rum shop saying, comrade say you got money in the head. And men drinking over the pity and arguing like they're in the Greek city-state. Philosophizing, how could he have the money in the head? And men say we would look forward shortly to see it. And then, on the appointed day, a month later, told them, I have come now to take the money out of my head. I went with a bill in Parliament, a law. Because I realized that you had over 1,000 companies which have an interest in land. They pay their alien landholding license and all that. But they never register the land, that they own land at the company's registry. So I say, I will charge a one-off fee of $3,000 that you must register once you're a company, a foreign company, and you own any land at the company's registry. You must register it on your file. 1,000 companies by $3,000 is $3 million. You hear how the money come out of my head? Simple like that. And that is the money I use. In other words, I get the foreign companies who own land here, who already got alien landholding license, to pay for the severance pay. Then I feel it, but you get the benefit. Because 3,000 for them is a little piece of change, one half. And every time any of them own any land or interest in land, they have to pay the $3,000. I got this phone to be brought so that I can read something for you from the U.S. representative. Just bear with me. Level 1, COVID-19 risk is low. And they list countries with the CDC. That's the Center for Disease Control in America. countries which they had listed at moderate risks for Americans to travel. They say now St. Vincent is a low-risk place. While they brought us down, they carry Barbados from moderate to high. I think they're wrong about that with Barbados. The countries, Cayman Islands, which they bring down to low risk. Guernsey, that's in the Channel Islands near to Scotland. Isle of Man, New Caledonia, New Zealand, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Thailand. I don't have to wait on any approval from an American body, an American institution of the US government to tell us that we're doing well in handling COVID. James Mitchell himself says we handle the COVID well. We handle the COVID well. But get rid of Ralph. I say get rid of Ralph because I hear some jingles for Elder Cat. You know, let me hear the pennies. Well, not the pennies. Let me hear the jingles. Let me hear them. Why provoke Ralph? I would not touch him unless he come and talk about me, you know. I don't, listen, I wasn't going to say one thing about my partner, Sir James. You know, but he provoked. He said, go hear me and him. Well, I tell him this. He knows that my back broad. He knows that I'm an ancient warrior. He knows that you're going to lick me up. You could knock me down. I get right up. I'm a hard man for that. You hear me? The best in dealing with lives and livelihoods during the COVID, the championship belt in the Caribbean has to go to St. Vincent and the Grenadines. We have people in the audience who work in the Ministry of Finance. Economists, they know the numbers. Between January and the end of September this year, the revenues for the governments in every single Caribbean country has gone down significantly. And in the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union, the revenues have gone down from the independent states of the Eastern Caribbean Currency Union from around 9%, from around 25% to 50%. Except St. Vincent and the Grenadines, where it went up by 3.4%. And in terms of economic growth, all the countries have seen declines in economic growth. The others range between 9%. The independent countries, in the case of Dominica, in the whole, to 25% in St. Lucia. In the case of St. Vincent and Grenadines, 5%. And our numbers tell us it would not be that, the hole would not be that deep. In St. Lucia, Prime Minister Chastanet, who is a practical man, went at the beginning of the year and the beginning of this month and said, I ain't got no money, all the money done. He said, I max out with the NIS. The grants, all gone. He said, the money I used to give COVID-related people to ease the pain, he said, I ain't got no more money to give. You got to bear it by yourself. You hear me? Grenada stopped paying theirs a long time ago. Antigua never pay any. Not only are we paying, I've extended the payments to the end of December this year. And if I have to continue it in January, we'll continue it, but in the new budget, because the financial year starts on January the 1st, a new financial year. Towards the end of March, beginning of April, Sinclair Leacock said, he said, I am going to make my most profound political speech ever. He said, and this position is the position of my party. And they supported him. You know what Sinclair said? He said, if Ralph continue on this reckless path, before the end of May, we will have over 50,000 people infected with COVID. And we will have over 2,000 deaths. We ain't got no deaths. Nobody get hospitalized with COVID. I built a place for over $3.5 million to put the extreme patients. Luke, I went there to visit. Luke jokingly said to me, PM, we need some patients. I said, well, we're going to put other patients here, but not COVID. There's none. And of the number of local people over the last 7 months who infected with COVID, 4. And they were infected, they're from Greg's, they were infected by somebody who come from overseas. Local transmission. We have had 67 cases. But every case, other than those 3, came in from overseas. And those 4 get it from somebody who come from overseas. But to show you how Friday don't even know this country and you want to rule it. Friday said that I must declare Greg's an emergency area. Let nobody go in or come out. Lock it down. Draconian Chinese methods, they say. Curfew in the whole country, state of emergency. But here it is. You know Greg's, I know Greg's. I don't need an entire police force to lock down Greg's. to the back of Greg's. Man go a mountain. You go Canary Mountain. I know man in Greg's. They have a girlfriend in South Rivers. They go planting and they go over and eat lunch at 1 o'clock with a woman over in South Rivers and walk back over Greg's. The among the back door you got for Greg's. But Friday don't know that. In any case, there was no community spread. He and Israel Bruce said there was community spread. You know, they're losing a lot of support in Greg's, you know. And they know it. They're losing plenty support in Greg's. Patel don't understand one single thing. He's the worst representative in the whole of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. If we had followed Friday and Company, we would have closed the schools for the year. Let me ask you this. And I was waiting till I come to COVID to deal with this. If we didn't handle COVID well, could the NDP had a rally with 3,000 people in Oya last night? Without mask? Oh, you mean it's less than that? All right. Well, you've been there, I wasn't there. I am prepared to be generous. They're able to cross to go over there to hold it because of the Rabaka Bridge. They were able to assemble people outside of a virtual meeting because the Comrade and the ULP handled COVID well. On the basis of these two things alone, the people north of the Dry River, in the whole constituency, should return Montgomery Daniel overwhelmingly. The fellas in the cabinet say, the man I love most in the cabinet is Gomri. I tell them that I love all my cabinet members equally. They say, all right, you love all of us equally, but you have a special part in your heart for Gomri. And it's true. There's a special place in my heart for the comrade. And don't send me back in government without Gomri. I need you to give me Gomri. Gomri laid the basis in agriculture for Sabi. And Gomri has built more houses and given away more housing lots than any minister of government in the history of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And he's a very humble man. You know, I know sometimes, not everybody talk the same way. That's why we're different. I know sometimes when you go to Gomri and you talk to him and he said to you, I hear you. Okay, all right. You know, he ain't giving you any long talk. You might come to me and I say, yeah man, I'm going to help you with this thing. Check me tomorrow. Check me day after tomorrow. But even though he answer you in a shorter version, What he's giving you is the King James Version. You can rely on it. You can rely on it. No Maccabees for you, the King James Version. And he's honest to the core. I want to ask you this. Remember I began by telling you science begins and ends with observation? When Gomery was a minister, his Jeep, something went wrong with it. The chief agricultural officer said to him, Minister, we have vehicles here. You can use one to go home and come back. Gomery wouldn't have it. He got a rented vehicle. Before that, tell me about Monty now. You see, sometimes you see things and you just see it. I want you to see it, internalize it, and make an assessment. It's simple things you look at, and could tell you something. I want, with Gomery, this being, as he told me, the last term he's running for, I want you to give him a massive majority. He's a good man with love in his heart. You know, I don't know the lady who is running against Gomery. In any case, I am not saying anything bad about anybody. But are you going to take a greenhorn at a time like this? Instead of an experienced and wise man like Montgomery Daniel? Honest was done very well for this constituency. You know, I want you to look at this last thing. And you come to your conclusion as to who's serious and who don't serious. Who's serious and who not serious. You notice our billboards? Our billboards have all of us in the ULP, except me, in jacket and tie. Black suit, dark suit, white shirt, red tie. In my case, as a 5-star general, I have a tunic type suit, which the great leaders from India and Africa and the Caribbean before, Michael Manley and Burnham, would wear. We put them up first because I'm applying to you for the job as Prime Minister again. Gomery is applying to you for the job as representative and minister again. When we are applying to you, we come to you professional. Oh, I got nothing against polo shirt. But when after you interview me, you might say, well, let me go to river and cook. I put on my polo shirt and my jeans. But I have to come into your bedroom professional. I have to come to your eyes professional. And I have to come to you not in any way flimsy, but with that unity. And you see it. You said that's a team of solidity. The foreign mind benders would tell them, put on your t-shirt, put on your polo shirt, man. Put on your polo shirt. You know, because they have a view that all we know is calypso, reggae, and dancehall. So anything goes for us. Eh? You think you can go to Friday office to get a job as a clerk at his law office in jeans and polo shirt? He'll make a mental note of that. And when you see us tomorrow night, virtual, presenting our candidates, you will see us in exactly the same outfit that we presented to you professionally on our billboards. Serious people. Because politics is serious business for serious people. It's not a branch of the entertainment industry. We may have entertainment and songs because it makes us happy. But after we are happy, we have to get down to serious business. And the Unity Labour Party, you can rely on the students, the young, the middle-aged, the elderly, the workers, the nation as a whole. You meet a lot of NDP people. They will tell you that they ain't supporting Ralph. They ain't supporting Ralph. But they also say to you, when I go to bed at night with Ralph as Prime Minister, I feel safe. I feel secure. If I can help to take that pressure off of you so that you can concentrate on doing what you want to do in your individual and family life, it would be a great help. With all this knowledge and experience, I'm a man with all type license, you know. I could drive every vehicle by any road. Friday, if you're driving, you have to put an L on the number plate behind because it's a loaner. You have to put an L behind there. Son Mitchell sitting down on the left-hand side. K. Bacchus and Leacock and Cummins sitting behind. Patel and Miss John, they can't backseat drive anybody, so. They tell him Friday, mash brakes. Press the X. Turn right. Turn left. Blow your hand. And when you follow the instructions by impulse, them behind go clout him. And son Mitchell will pull with his steering wheel and say, idiot. You're going to leave a man with all the experience and knowledge. Yeah. They tell me we're dead in 2001, in 2005, in 2010, in 2015, The NDP is the longest serving opposition in the history of this country. And they're talking about that. Blessings and love to the people of Orange Hill and North Windward. Enjoy your road and go and vote Montgomery Daniel on the 5th of November.